Hi everyone, welcome to CEO Meets. My name's Pip Wilkins. I'm the Chief Executive at the British Franchise Association, and I'm really pleased to be joined by Katie Morris from the Purple House Clinic. So first up, Katie, key question, what do Purple House Clinic do?
Right. Well, we are a private psychological healthcare company. So we provide a range of services to help support people with their mental health. So that includes psychological therapy for common mental health difficulties like depression, anxiety, and trauma. And then we also offer a range of specialist diagnostic assessments as well, mainly in the field of developmental disorders. So that's including autistic spectrum disorders and ADHD. And we also have educational psychology services as well. So looking at diagnosing conditions such as dyslexia and dysgraphia and dyscalculia.
Wow, mind-blowing. So I'm going to go slightly off piece. Neurodiversity has become a huge subject now. What do you think we could do more of as businesses to really highlight some of the key challenges?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, and there is lots that we can do as employers. Thinking about the members of our team that may be neurodiverse. And also, as franchisors as well, because of course you may have neurodiverse franchisees as well, and they may have neurodiverse members of their teams. So I think it's really about educating ourselves about the different types of neurodiversity and understanding those common conditions that we've all started to learn a little bit more about in the general public. So ASD and ADHD, understanding what they look like, because I think also they're often talked about in relation to children, but of course children grow up and become adults and become neurodiverse adults, and being neurodiverse affects your everyday life, and it affects how you interact with colleagues, and it affects how you undertake your everyday work as well. And people that are neurodiverse have lots of strengths and weaknesses, just as everybody has, but they're often different. So they're different types of strengths and weaknesses. And as employers, we need to understand what they are, and sometimes support staff in how to go about their work in a particularly unique way that is optimal for them. So it may be about kind of planning tasks in a slightly different way, compensating for any things that they struggle with, but also really capitalizing on their strengths in terms of the way they work.
That's brilliant. So Purple House Clinic, you've obviously gone down the franchising route. What was your kind of key motivator for that?
Well, I mean, when we started, so I used to work in the NHS, going backwards a little bit, and I left the NHS to open a private practice. And really kind of had a vision for that to be something quite large. So I didn't ever want to work on my own in private practice. I wanted to have a team and offer a range of services. And we started to grow quite quickly. I opened the clinic together with my husband, and we started to grow really quite quickly, and we were spread over quite a large geographical area. We enjoyed that growth, but what we recognized is that we started to kind of lose a bit of a grip in terms of that kind of personal approach, both with the staff and employees and psychologists that worked for us, but also the clients. We wanted that kind of local relationship, to see our clinicians on a daily basis and to see our clients. And so really, when we discovered the franchise model, it was perfect for us because it allowed us to still have that growth, which we had the ambition for across the country. But it enabled us to keep those kind of local centres where the owners of those clinics could maintain and nurture those really important relationships with clients and with the clinicians.
So talk to me about your franchisees. Do they have to be clinical psychologists in order to become a franchisee, or do they employ them? How does it all work? What do you look for?
Yeah, so our criteria is that we need franchisees to be practitioner psychologists. So it's not necessarily just clinical psychologists. So that
Mhm.
also includes counselling psychologists, educational psychologists, and forensic psychologists. So as well as clinical psychologists. So there are a few different types of psychologists that all have, the right kind of skills to run and manage a clinic. We also would consider other clinicians that are working within the same sort of field. So that might include mental health nurses or occupational therapists or psychiatrists.
Also, it's really broad in the way that you can bring franchisees on board.
Yeah, we'd consider with anyone with, the right skills, really, somebody that's got that really in-depth professional experience of working with clients and working with all the conditions that we support in the clinic, but also importantly people that have got a background in working within an organization and understand the organizational elements of running a service. So that includes the things like the clinical governance, the safeguarding and risk assessments, and all of those really important things that underpin the running of a clinical service like ours.
So you've just closed the original territory area.
Yeah.
It's one of the things that we often see people do when they go down the route of franchising, because your role completely changes from what you
Yeah.
used to do to being a franchisor. How are you finding that transition?
Um, Absolutely amazing, I have to say. It was a fairly difficult decision to make, as I think it
Yeah.
often is for franchisors. And I spoke to a lot of people within the franchising community at the time in making that decision. But it is being, I think, the best decision I've made in my career. Absolutely loving it. It is so different being a franchisor to being in that original role, that started for any franchise or whatever industry they're in. It's very different being a franchisor, and it's a career in itself. And closing the original territory has meant that my husband and I can just focus on being franchisors and focus on supporting the franchisees and the amazing growth that they've achieved in their businesses, and of course recruit more franchisees as well. So it's been a fantastic decision, and I'm really enjoying the role of franchisor, which obviously I could have never, when I trained as a psychologist, I could have never predicted that this would happen, but I absolutely love it, so it's great.
And what's been your biggest highlight to date as a franchisor? What's been the standout moment for you?
Well, I think it's really seeing the success, of the franchisees, and the clinics have grown so much, in the last couple of years in particular. We couldn't have predicted the growth that they'd had. It's just been phenomenal. And just seeing like the support that they're giving to their communities is amazing. And the clinics are a few of them have got some amazing service level contracts with charities and with the NHS and with the local authority, and with schools, and it's just fantastic just to see them linking in with all of those organisations, because of course it means that the reach of our services is bigger, so we can help more people, and it's just really exciting. And every time one of the franchisees contact me and say I've got a new contract, and it's just like, oh wow, that's amazing, that's fantastic. So that is
It,
the best
it
thing.
really is one of the franchise businesses that you can look at that says it makes a difference, and really makes a difference in people's lives. I have a couple of questions. So it's top tips, really. You've obviously embarked on the franchising journey. If someone was going to do the same, they had a business and they were looking at franchising it, what would be your key piece of advice to them?
Well, I think it really would be about what we were saying a moment ago about how being a franchisor is a career in itself. So I think understanding that and holding that in mind for the long journey. So you might not reach that point immediately. You're probably still going to be running, your original territory, and you're going to have several hats on, but it's kind of just planning that trajectory and thinking about your growth, at what stage you're going to do things, when are you going to start to employ head office staff, and just having that vision for the future for how things are going to change and evolve.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, the second one is all about franchisees. So someone's looking at investing in a franchise, they don't know where they want to go yet. What's your piece of advice for them on their journey?
Well, I mean, look at what's available. I mean, we're obviously slightly different because you know, people need a professional qualification to do our franchise. But for franchisees who are looking at kind of a broad range of opportunities, you know, look at what's out there in the franchising industry, because there is so much, there are so many different you know, opportunities there, and just some fantastic franchisors as well. You know, I've made quite a few friends in the last couple of years over the pandemic, and they're inspirational. You know, the franchisors, the visions that they have, you know, how they've grown their businesses. So find, you know, talk to the franchisors and find someone that you connect with and that you share that vision and that passion, because those are the relationships that will work. You know, the franchisees and the franchisors that gel and they share the same passion and vision for what they're achieving. So find your fit, basically.
Oh, that's brilliant. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today. I really look forward to seeing how your business grows, and I think it's a phenomenal service, and has come to market right at the right time.
Oh, thank you so much, Pip. Lovely to talk to you.